It is mid-June and the veggie garden is looking beautiful and things are really starting to fill in. I started putting this veggie garden together 2 years ago. Last year I expanded on it, and then this year I expanded just a tiny bit more by adding this arch and then some flower beds right out front. We also had this deck stairs redone. So on these stairs, I added a lot of pots with some beautiful flowers. I did mostly geraniums, some begonias up top, and then down here, it's just a mix of flowers. The one that I'm really loving is this Chinese forget-me-not, and I really wish it would fill the pot even more. So I am thinking of snipping some of these flowers off and then seeing it could bush out a little bit more. So back into the veggie garden, this trellis I added some clematis that I had in the garden in other spaces, and I just moved them over here. So this is the Nellie Moser, and it already set out a few blooms. I think next year it'll do much better. But over here I have, I'll put the name up because I don't quite know how to pronounce this one, and it has a bunch of buds and has started to put out some blooms. Very happy to see that it is liking the new space. In the front, I did add some pots with some nasturtiums, and they've been blooming and looking absolutely beautiful, but now they're starting to sort of peter out. I do think I put way too many in one pot, so I am thinking maybe to cut it back and it'll rebound, hopefully. Down at the bottom, I have some swamp milkweed. This is the only milkweed that I successfully was able to winter sow. And, hopefully it will take hold and I can then get some more growing in the future. So now into the veggie garden. So I love adding flowers into the front area of my veggie garden. I still haven't quite decided on how I want this to look. And I kind of was running out of time, so I just kind of threw in whatever I had, and some of it I have added seeds, so that hasn't fully grown yet. So in the front I do have two of the Millennia Floor dahlias, so I had some extra tubers and just added them in here. Over here I have some dill that is flowering, and this was to try and bring in some of the black swallowtail butterflies. This is a viola that I grew in the winter sowing and pretty much just took the entire winter sowing jug and put it in a pot. And it's been doing really nicely. I think I need to cut it back though, and hopefully it'll just continue to bloom. But my favorite one is this one here, also winter sown, and I might be adding that one to the cut flower garden. In here, I added some seeds of some short little cosmos. I bought this sweet potato vine, and that's a cocoa core pot. You can use it as a liner for, an actual plastic pot or, a ceramic pot. But I just decided to use it as a pot on its own. Over here are some zinnias. It is those low mounding zinnias. And so hopefully they will put on some growth because they've been very slow to put on growth. And then over here, I also seeded a few zinnias, I believe. The purple flowering is a creeping thyme that I've had it here now for about 2 years. So it's doing very nicely in this pot. And I actually took some out and planted it in another pot. Over here, it's a bit sunny, so it might be a little hard to see some of this, but I have some apple mint that I have been meaning to cut back for some time now. And then that is some gomphrena that actually self-seeded into a pot, and I just transplanted it in here. And I've added some Dusty Miller that I had winter sown. Just another potato vine, sweet potato vine. Back there is some zinnias that I seeded and they have germinated. Over here, I also seeded, I believe, maybe some cosmos. And I'm not seeing some great germination there. So I probably need to come back in here and seed it again with something. Because yeah, I'm not seeing great germination. I do see like 4 in the front and 1 in the back. So I'll give it a little time, but I may have to come in with more seeds. Over here, I also did some zinnias that are a low growing zinnia. I think it's, I'll put up the name, Peach Profusion, I forgot. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. And this is a short variety of gomphrena called Buddy Purple. This was winter sown, and again, I just pretty much took what was all in the pot and just in the jug and put it all in this pot. Same with the yarrow, winter sown, and I just took everything and put it in this flower pot. Rather than trying to figure out where I'm going to put it, it's just all growing in here. I could always divide that out and either put it in the garden or put it in various pots because I don't quite know where to put this. I am surprised at this yarrow, and the leaf structure is very different from the yarrow that I have in my front garden. So I'm not sure if that's just because it's the first year growth and whether or not it would even flower in the first year. So over here is some borage. I don't remember, I think I winter sowed this, and it was looking even more beautiful than before than it is right now. A lot of the blooms have finished, but I just absolutely love this sweet bloom, and the color on it is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm wondering if I should start some new seeds so that I can have it grow here again and have more of it. But I'm waiting to see what it does. I might cut it back just to see if I can get another flush of blooms on this. So in this bed, I have some onions, some marigolds, and some summer squashes. I did net it up because I really want to keep away a lot of the pests that we get here, particularly the vine borer. And then in between each bed, I have added some grow bags and filled them with flowers this year. I decided the vegetables would mostly go in the raised beds, and then the flowers would go in between each of the raised beds in the grow bag. In this bed, I have a couple of different eggplants and some bell peppers. And in the back is some Walla Walla onions that are looking huge. So I might actually get a decent onion. I'm not sure how big of an onion I'll get, but I don't think it will be too bad. It might be a little small, but yeah, they just look like they're doing really, really well. So in this, a lot of them I did add nasturtiums and calendula and alyssum. The alyssum is all self-seeded in these plots, and yeah, I'm super happy. Pretty much once they die off in the fall, I do cut the alyssum back and just put it on the top of the soil, and it will just self-seed for you. Alyssum self-seeds so easily in the garden. So this has also some more squashes, some summer squash and marigolds. I do plan on adding some beans in some of these grow beds. And then this flowering one is cilantro. And I might cut it back a little bit, but I probably will keep some of the flowering cilantro in here. Back here, this is a winter sown tomato, is a super sweet 100, and it always gets so massive for me. So this year I decided I'm not cutting anything back. I'm just letting it grow and letting it do its thing, and I will try to wrangle it in as best as I can without cutting it back. Because every time I cut it back, they seem to get sickly, and I just want to let them do their thing. So this bed is mostly some herbs, and I've got some thyme and some lavender and some more of the spicy glow basil, some sage, a little tiny bit of chamomile, and then some rosemary tucked in there. So yeah, a lot of different plants in here. Oh, and some onions on the end. I don't know how well those onions will do. Those are bulby onions. I think they're mostly Walla Wallas. But this doesn't get that much sun, this last bed. So not really sure how well it will do. And same thing, another flower. Those are winter sown coneflowers that I just didn't know where to put them. So I just stuck the whole jug in a bigger pot and put more soil to give them some more room to grow. And I will have to separate those out and plant them out at some point. Over here, I just added just a bunch of different coleus that I grew indoors. And yeah, the second I put them in this soil, they just started to really take off. I'm super happy how well they're doing. And up here is some more self-seeded alyssum that I dug out of some of those bags and just stuck them in this pot. And then this is some heucheras that every time I put them out in my garden, they just don't do well. I don't know if it's rabbits, slugs, whatever. They just get eaten up, and I've just overwintered them in some grow bags. And so now I transplanted them into this pot, and they are loving their life over here. I haven't seen them bloom in a couple of years because they've struggled every time. So I'm really happy to see that they're doing so well in this space. Panning around here on these last two beds, I have a ton of calendula here. Some of it was winter sown and some of it just self-seeded over here. And then I've added some chamomile in here that I'm hoping will germinate, as well as some more cilantro. And then these are some yellow spicy jalapenos, lemon spice jalapenos. So those seem to be doing very well, and some bunching onions. And then this last bed here is my row of tomatoes. So I have the Amish paste on the end. I have Boxcar Willie here. The New Yorker tomato and another Amish paste tomato. On the end here is a Cherry Falls tomato. Actually, there's like 3 of them in a pot. Last year, I tried to grow them in the actual raised beds, and they just didn't like it. I think they were too wet. And this year, I put it in a pot. I even put a bunch of rocks at the bottom of the pot to ensure there's lots of good drainage. And they are loving being in a pot. It's definitely one that just does better in a pot. I do have to water it a lot more often, but it's doing so good, and setting some fruit in there. I'm super excited to finally get some this year and try them out. And then this one is a Patio Choice Yellow, which last year got massive, and this year it is getting massive again. But it puts out a lot of fruit and does super, super well in a grow bag. Now, all of these tomatoes were winter sown, except for the Patio Choice Yellow is the only one I grew inside, but I have grown it in the winter sowing method. but every single one of these tomatoes were winter sown, and they always do super well for me with winter sowing, and I don't have to use up the space indoors to grow these because I have very limited space inside. And the alyssum self-seeded in this spot because I had alyssum that was draping down this corner, and it just self-seeded, and I let it grow because the alyssum always seems to help my tomatoes with bringing in some of those beneficial parasitic wasps, and then they take care of any bugs that I tend to get, particularly the aphids, in a lot of my garden. So I have a few videos on this veggie garden and how I built it and the fence that I used, etc. So I will leave those links down below if you are interested in taking a look at those. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.